Hey, BC here for BC Nephro. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Brian Cronin, board certified nephrologist and clinical specialist in hypertension. Today's topic, how to prevent kidney stones. We're going to go over dietary factors that are associated with the decreased risk of recurrent stones. Before we get into that, make sure you check out the other videos at this channel. Check out bcnephro.com where you'll find articles not only on this topic, but on a wide range of nephrology subjects. I'm also on Instagram at bcnephro. Links to all will be in the description below. But now, let's get into it. Most people don't like having kidney stone attacks, and they're motivated to do something to prevent them from happening again. I find that a lot of the things, however, that the patients initially try, such as reducing the amount of oxalate in the diet, avoiding tea, drinking more citrate-containing beverages, and avoiding dietary calcium, either have nominal, minimal benefits or are actually counterproductive. So now we're going to get into 8 things that have been shown to be associated with a decreased risk of kidney stones, why they are effective, and how I counsel my patients specifically. The first is fluid intake. Now this makes sense. The more dilute the urine is, the less likely the crystals are to precipitate and form stones. The questions here are what type of fluid and how much. I believe that nothing is better than water, so I counsel my patients to drink this. Some people believe that citrus-containing beverages such as orange juice or lemonade have an increased benefit. This is because citrate is a stone inhibitor. However, the amount of citrate in these juices is nominal. You would have to drink a very large volume to achieve any meaningful amount, and it is counterproductive or even harmful to drink a lot of calories, sugary drinks. If you want to add a little bit of lemon juice into the water, that's fine. If you don't like the taste, add a sugar-free flavoring, but otherwise just stick with water. Now, how much? The recommendation is to achieve a urinary volume of at least 2 liters a day. This is about 64 ounces. Now, since everything you drink doesn't come out in the urine, the body uses it for other things, sweat, saliva, other metabolic functions. I counsel my patients to target 2.5 liters, which is about 80 ounces of fluid intake to achieve at least 2 liters of urine. So if you're thinking about 16 or 20 ounce water bottles, we're thinking about 4 or 5 of these a day. The second is calcium. Now, a higher calcium diet is actually associated with a decreased risk of kidney stones. This is counterintuitive since most stones are made out of calcium, and one would think that decreasing the dietary calcium would be helpful. However, doing this actually increases the risk of stones. The reason is this. Most stones are made out of calcium and oxalate. Calcium and oxalate have an affinity for each other. So when you have calcium in your diet, it binds the oxalate in the diet and passes through. A low calcium diet will leave more oxalate free to be absorbed into the body. The body can just get calcium from the bones, and you have an increased risk of stones. I counsel my patients to have a healthy amount of dietary calcium, which is approximately 800 to 1200 milligrams a day. I do, however, ask my patients to avoid calcium supplements. When you take calcium supplements, a higher amount of the calcium is absorbed, and this could contribute to hypercalciuria. In patients with osteopenia, bone disease, in addition to getting the healthy amount of calcium from the diet, I recommend vitamin D. Vitamin D does not increase the risk of kidney stones unless your levels are super high. I do avoid active vitamin D, however, like calcitriol, as this may contribute to hypercalciuria. If there is a patient for some reason that absolutely has to take a calcium supplement, I advise that they take this with their largest meal. In this way, it may at least inhibit some of the oxalate absorption, and it would also make sense to do a 24-hour urine for calcium before and after taking the calcium supplement to measure the effect. Third, dietary sodium. When sodium passes through the kidney, it drags calcium with it by impairing the amount of calcium reabsorption in the proximal tubule. The only way to decrease the amount of sodium that comes out in the urine is to decrease the amount in your diet. This can have a significant effect, decreasing the dietary sodium from about 4.6 grams to less than 2 grams daily can decrease the 24-hour urine calcium excretion by as much as 100 milligrams, which is quite significant. The recommendation is to reduce the dietary sodium to less than 100 millimoles a day. This is about 2.3 grams. I typically counsel my patients to try to keep it to less than 2.5 grams a day. The fourth thing is dietary potassium. A diet higher in potassium is protective. This is because the high potassium diet increases the amount of citrate in the urine, and citrate is a stone inhibitor. Fifth is non-dairy animal protein, which essentially is meat. excessive amounts of this should be avoided. This is because this type of protein contains sulfates. When this is metabolized, it generates acid. The body has to buffer the acid, and it does this by taking calcium from bones. This contributes to hypercalciuria. Now, patients instinctively think that it's red meat that's bad. This is an effect of any type of meat. A healthy amount of protein in the diet is important, so what I counsel patients here is moderation. Go for a 4 to 6 ounce piece of meat as opposed to an 8 or 12 ounce, and then supplement the dietary protein with dairy or plant-based proteins. Sixth is something called phytates. Now, phytates are a substance that are in plants, so in the diet you're going to find them in legumes, nuts, and seeds. This is a substance that impairs calcium absorption into the body and also may decrease the affinity for calcium and oxalate to come together and form crystals. Don't go overboard here though, however, because phytate can impair the absorption of other things that are important, such as iron. Number 7 is caffeine. Now, caffeine actually can be protective. Even though coffee and tea contain oxalate, this is counteracted by the increased fluid volume that someone ingests. And also, caffeine is protective. And the theory here is that because caffeine has a diuretic effect, it increases the urinary flow, which decreases the chance for crystals to form. And finally, number 8 is sugar. Sucrose and fructose have been shown to affect the urine chemistry in many ways that can increase the risk for stones, including calcium, oxalate, pH, and uric acid. Now, you notice what is not on this list is the thing that people often do first, which is oxalate. Even though increased oxalate in the diet can end up increasing the hyperoxaluria, the benefit of decreasing dietary oxalate is limited by the fact that a significant amount of oxalate is produced endogenously in the body. So what I counsel my patients to do is to just avoid the foods that are very high in oxalate. These are things like spinach, rhubarb, and almonds. If one avoids these high things, trying to follow a very low oxalate diet will have diminishing returns. I believe the efforts are better served by focusing on increasing fluid intake, avoiding salt and sugar, and some of the other things already discussed. This could have been summarized right at the beginning as eat healthy. So if you're following this diet, you're drinking a lot of water, you're not eating a lot of salt or sugar, you're having a lot of fruits and vegetables, so you're getting your potassium and phytates from these things, you're having moderation in your meat portions, and you're treating yourself to a cup or two of coffee in the morning. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you might as well hit like and subscribe. Please share this video with someone who you think might be interested in learning about this topic. It's spreading the message word of mouth that really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment or question below, and until next time.